You buy the MacBook Air. If you want more power, you buy the MacBook Pro. But now there's the MacBook there as well in the middle.
Hello and welcome to episode 112 of the Lazy Couch Podcast. We're here to give you all you need to know about consumer tech, the internet, and all of the Apple announcements. My name is Jeff Kim, and we are Venom.
My name is Kelvin Lee, and you know what's better than one Mac Mini? A lot of them.
How many? Like thousands?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to ruin the show or anything, but I learned something new about the Mac Mini.
What's that, Kelvin?
That we can get into it. I'm not going to spoil the show.
No spoilers. This is spoiler free, man. Don't spoil the show. Don't ruin the show, and don't spoil the show. That's the number one rule of the Lazy Couch Podcast. Yeah, so we're back, everyone. We're back. It's been maybe a month? Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in New Zealand.
Yes, tell us all about hashtag van life.
Hashtag van life was smelly. There's nowhere to put those smelly socks after you go on a hike. You know what I mean? I don't want to bore the audience too much, but New Zealand, if you've been there, it's beautiful. It's one amazing mountainous landscape with a lakeside view after another, and then throwing some beaches and amazing bridges, and I don't know, it just goes on and on and on. So I did that for about 12 days, and then I got sick of it and ended up in Christchurch for a couple of days, which is also great.
And apparently home to the world's most expensive petrol.
Oh my god, yeah, $2. I think on average it was like $2.50, $2.60 per liter, and the New Zealand dollar is like, I think, what is it, like $1.07 or something like that. So
okay, so that hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it actually made me not drive all the way to Milford Sound because I had been there before, like 17 years ago. Showing my age a little bit, but yeah, that was I mean, like I've been there. I think I might save that for another trip. I mean, 2 weeks to drive around South Island is actually, that's not enough time. So I probably did. I would say I've done about a third of South Island, like properly.
Any tech tips for those who want to live in a van or use a van to travel?
Okay, well, if you're going to do that, if you're especially going from Australia or even the US, I suppose, you can actually you can prepay for a SIM card, which is what I did. I think it was 2degree Mobile. That worked out pretty good. I mean, a lot of the parks, they don't have coverage, especially on the West Coast. But, if you stick to the major roads, you'll be fine. Not that I didn't intend to use so much data, but I think because I didn't really have a plan on which way I was going to go, I sort of got a lot of tips from Instagram and the socials. So that worked. But also, you definitely need to get the app called CamperMate. It just tells you, all your, campgrounds. I mean, if you do have a proper camp, like a, what do you call it? Like a camper van with a shower and toilet and everything, it tells you where you can actually unload all your garbage. Waste. Apart from that, it tells you all the sites. So I think I got a lot of tips from that as well. So I think that's a must-have, actually.
Great.
Yeah.
So from New Zealand to Brooklyn, this episode we cover the latest Apple announcements all the way in Brooklyn, New York. So, any clips to kick us off?
Of course, this is almost copyright stuff from our podcast, but we gotta show the intro from Tim Cook as he was introduced to the crowd.
Wow! Thank you. Wow! Thank you. Good morning. It is so great to be in New York.
Yeah, so that was after like a really nice video of, like celebrities and, just regular people in New York and Brooklyn just using all the Apple products. I mean, like, I don't know, they do a pretty good job of that. I mean, I think he must have had a few more coffees than usual, Tim Cook. He was very excitable. And I like Leo Laporte's theory that all of the New York-based Apple staff were in the audience mostly. Because, New Yorkers are pretty loud. you know. Yeah, so that was the energy as the keynote started.
So do we know why New York and not Cupertino? Is that always been the way, like for iPads and things like that?
I don't. Well, I can't remember the last time it was in New York, if ever. Actually, I think it was just to sort of have that sense of New York being the creative hub of the world almost.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and all the invitations had the different styles of the Apple logo. Really artsy animations and things like that. So I think it was just to give off that vibe. Back to the whole creative side of Apple, which I think the previous couple of years they haven't really pushed too much of late. Yeah, so all New York, all Brooklyn. It was actually at the I had it written down here, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, which looked like a pretty nice venue. And I think after the whole thing, they got all the journalists to go across the road. So I think that's probably something new for the journalists to do.
Crossing the road.
Content, well, they had to be ushered into a separate building. Okay, well, where do we want to start, Kelvin? There's three big things.
How do we sequence this?
Well, we could talk by the order of how they were announced.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay, so I think we'll start with the Mac because that's what they did.
That's right.
Yeah. And what have I got here? I just got a couple of notes. Tim Cook saying that apparently 76% of the customers in China are new to the Mac.
Really?
So that's that just goes to show, the power of China right now.
I don't know. I think I wonder why. Well, I think it's the affluence of China maybe, but also there's not a lot happening in the PC front to really take that on board. I mean, we've spoken about this in terms of what you would be getting and everything, and the real only other laptop everyone's considering is the Surface. So
in China, you mean, or just all over?
I think all over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the emerging middle class of China, it's probably like a bit of a signal to say that you've got a bit of money if you have a Mac, at university or something,
especially
like that.
The gold one.
The gold. Ooh, yeah, I'll definitely talk about that in a second too. But anyway, I think this keynote was slightly different in that they had different speakers, Kelvin. They didn't have the usual Phil Schiller or the guy with the eyebrows. So for the MacBook Air, which was the first one, Laura Grove, she's the VP of Hardware Engineering. I think it's the very first time she presented. She did a pretty good job, I thought. Did you watch any of her part?
A little bit. As always, I've only seen the supercuts and read the notes, but no, I didn't watch the entirety of it.
So yeah, let's just go through some of the features here. Or have you got a intro clip?
No. I've got some buying tips instead.
Ooh, okay, all right. So MacBook Air, it's been a while. It's been, I think 2014 was the last update.
Yeah.
I have the 2010 MacBook Air, which is kind of just sitting around. The battery is completely dead, and I don't have a what do you call it? The MagSafe chargers anymore.
I used to use that in the studio.
Oh yeah,
it was fine.
It probably still works.
I've got the mid 2012 model. I'm using it right now. It's holding up great. I'm really surprised by that.
And it's not on fire.
No, well, let's not about that. Don't jinx it.
Okay. I don't know how many fans you bought since the last time you talked about that, but
just another 10.
So MacBook Air, I think generally everyone loves the Air, right? It's sort of the gateway drug to the Apple ecosystem, at least for computing, or notebooks and PCs. It certainly was for me. I hadn't used the Mac before my MacBook Air in 2010. No more bezels. Well, I mean, there's a slight bezel, but considerably smaller than the old sort of silver bezel that we had. Retained the 13.3 display, but now it's liquid retina.
Yes, so it's gone all the way up to 2560 by 1440, which is 1440p. So that is 2K, which is good. I think enough for a MacBook Air. You wouldn't need 4K unless you're in production anyway.
Yeah, and it's the same LCD screen as the one that's on the iPhone XR, I believe. That's what they're calling the liquid
Yes.
retina display. Yes, and yeah, like I think the biggest thing about the Air was that there was no retina display up until now, and I think that's been holding everyone back. What else? 48% more color, blah blah blah. FaceTime HD camera. That's all kind of usual, but there's a Touch ID in this one, but no touch bar.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of having a Touch ID. When you think about us typing in our password practically every time we lock our screen or, leave our desk and do the same thing, it makes sense.
Yes. I've never tried that feature where you can actually unlock your Mac with your phone or your phone's Touch ID, or I don't know, Face ID, I guess now. Is that still a thing? Yeah, I've never had a Mac, new enough to do that. So, yeah.
No, same here. I think I'm still. I just checked the the model of my laptop. I'm still on High Sierra, so it's not letting me upgrade to Mojave. So I'm guessing that is the the operating system you need.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing about the fingerprint ID is it runs on a separate security chip on the new Mac G2. Surprisingly enough, from Terminator.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh, I need that. Yeah. I need that clip.
I know. You gotta put it in somehow. Okay. So if anyone is concerned about someone, stealing their laptops and somehow cracking the fingerprint ID, it's going to be very hard because it is hardware encoded. It sits on the laptop. It installs everything on your laptop, so it doesn't, have to call iCloud or call, the cloud servers or anything. So it's very secure.
Yep, and it also has it means it's got Hey Siri support as well. And there I go. I just there's my iPad. Sorry, kind of, and probably everyone else's iPads.
Yeah. For anyone who's not on headphones.
Okay, let's talk about the keyboard. This can be quite controversial. They're calling it the 3rd generation butterfly keyboard. Now, the 2nd generation keyboard of the same type wasn't so popular.
Yes, so I looked into this. It was plagued with issues. So much so that if you walk into the Apple Store right now and, told them that some of the keys weren't functioning, they would replace it. That's how much Apple wants to sort of, fix the problem. But apparently the problem was because these are what we call, what's it called? Butterfly scissor type keys. If dirt got in between the membrane and the key, it just wouldn't work.
That's right, yeah. And I think that got some sort of membrane now to... I think this was announced in the previous keynote. What was that for, MacBook Pros or MacBooks? I can't remember. I can't keep up anymore. So, I imagine it's got the same sort of mechanism there to keep all the crumbs out of, nerds eating by their desks. Which is
eating
what
all
I
the
do.
Twinkies.
Yes. Yep.
So we want to do a quick run through of the hardware. So it's running a Intel Core i5, I believe the 8th generation.
That's right.
Here's where it gets a bit confusing. It only starts at 1.6 gigahertz, but obviously with turbo boost all the way to 3.6 gigahertz when it's under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Comes in 2 basic configurations. In terms of storage, you get the 128 or the 256. But you get to configure it all the way up to 1.5. And we'll talk about why this is happening. Unfortunately, RAM is stuck. It's configurable. It starts off with 8 gig, configurable to 16 gig.
Yeah.
And they're saying here battery life. Now, this is where it gets a bit exciting. 12 hours of wireless web, 13 hours of iTunes playback, and 30 days of standby time.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
They may. I may have a clip on why that might be in terms of the battery life. Would you like to hear it?
Damn right I do.
So this is Jomo, our friend Jomo.
Apparently, there's a report on Mac Rumors that the new MacBook Air is only using a 5-watt chip and people are freaking the out. All I'm gonna say is please, can we just get these devices in hand, use them, test them before we freak out? Now, one advantage of that 5-watt chip is going to be lower power consumption, lower heat, better battery life, and that's something Apple actually bragged about with this MacBook Air. Honestly, I think someone who's picking up a MacBook Air wants great battery life. They don't want it running hot and burning the crap out of their thighs.
Yep, so I'm not an expert on the wattage of these chips and sort of the impacts of that. What would be
you aren't? What the hell?
What's considered like Do you need 10 watts? Or
Y-
yeah, because
yeah,
apparently
so
the internet were freaking out about that. 5-watt chip, only 5 watts. What?
yeah. So, do you have any more clips about the MacBook Air before we go into where the MacBook Air sits in between the MacBook Pro, and the Air?
I have a couple more. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's keep talking before we get into that. But
Okay.
the other thing as well is the processor's a dual core instead of the quad core you get in the MacBook Pro. So
Yeah.
if you're buying the MacBook Air, let's just hope you're not a producer or a video. You want to use this for video processing. I hope.
Yeah, I have a related clip to that, but I might wait till the end for that. The other thing, I guess the form factor as well. I mean, it is 17% less volume than the previous MacBook Air and 10% thinner, which makes it 2.75 pounds. And I have no idea what that is in kilograms, but that sounds pretty light for a laptop or a notebook.
It's 1.27 kilograms. I'm here for you, man.
Thank you very much. Oh yeah, it's below. Yes, it's smaller, not larger. Yes, that's right. Now they did make a big deal out of this, and you got to applaud Apple for. I think they're about the only company in the world that are able to do something like this. But now, also actually, this was news to me. Did you know that Apple has a metallurgy team?
Well,
They create their own metals and alloys. So here's Laura Grove, who presented about the MacBook Air on that.
Use aluminum because it has incredible strength, durability, and its sheer beauty. Now, to achieve that, we've had to rely on mining high purity ore. That is, until today. Apple's metallurgy team has designed an aluminum alloy that uses excess aluminum from the production process, delivering the same great characteristics we expect in all of our products. And this is a huge breakthrough. So we're really proud to say today that every new MacBook Air is made from 100% recycled aluminum.
Whoa, aluminum everywhere.
Aluminum.
Yes, 100% recycled. I mean, that seems impossible or unbelievable, but
I want to. So she said something that was quite interesting. Excess aluminum, like if I don't know, building something and some of my aluminum falls into the floor, they pick it up and call it recycled. That isn't really recycled, right?
Yes, but I think the actual body of it is made from that alloy. So I don't know. Maybe it's semantics, but I imagine it's actual old MacBook Air recycled material plus the cans that you just sort of throw away. It's sort of like a combination of all those materials, and they don't have to mine anything, which is actually another. They're actually going to save billions doing that too.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. She said aluminum was beautiful. I've always stared at my can of tuna and just looked at it for hours on end, saying how beautiful it looked.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I don't know. I guess it contributes to the lighter weight, perhaps, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, metallurgy team. I mean, what other company would have metal experts coming up with brand new material? I don't know. Now the naming. Do you have anything about the naming? Because is this really a MacBook Air?
Ooh, why? What have you heard?
I've got JOMO again, Jonathan Morrison. His theory.
Beyond the controversy though, you were getting two full-fledged Thunderbolt 3 ports, not USB-C like on the 12-inch MacBook, so essentially, this MacBook Air is kind of like a MacBook Pro Junior. For real though, I know it sounds silly, but Apple went with the MacBook Air name because people want a MacBook Air.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
See, yeah, this is where I'm so confused. And I've got a few clips to sort of, put more light into this. Why would they put Thunderbolt and not USB-C if they don't expect MacBook Air users to not need video tools or bigger screens or daisy chain their screens and things like that, which only the pros use. So the proposition isn't clear anymore, is it? I mean, if you were an average Joe, a USB-C port would be so much more useful, or they could save money. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, because the way I thought of the lineup, because now there's 3 MacBooks, right? 3 types of MacBooks. There's the
That's right.
MacBook Pro, there's the MacBook, just your regular MacBook, but also the MacBook Air. Now, I thought it was in that order in my head, just from the naming, but it's the MacBook, the old regular MacBook, which is the latest thing that came out a couple of years ago, is the lowest end.
Yeah.
And MacBook Air is sort of in the middle between the Pro and that. I didn't think of it that way at all.
Yeah, so I think I've got a good clip here by Digital Trends, who's just going to quickly walk through the 3 MacBooks and how they're different.
Okay.
So right now, there are 3 different MacBooks that you should be considering if you're looking at spending the least amount of money. And the first is the MacBook Air, the new one that costs $1,200. Then you've also got the $1,300 12-inch MacBook. And then lastly, you also have the $1,300 MacBook Pro without Touch Bar. These are 3 different MacBooks that all cost within $100 of each other. And you are expected to go to an Apple store and just pick out from the shelf one of these models that's right for you.
Yeah, confusion for everyone.
Good luck, people.
Thankfully, we're here for you.
So those were in obviously US prices. Should we talk about the
Yes.
Aussie prices? So
Yes.
the 1200 kind of translates into 1,849 Australian. And I would imagine that's similar for the other MacBooks that he just mentioned. Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I am on the website right now. I am going to spec this baby up to see how far I can go. Okay, so how much storage?
Gold, of course.
Just guess. How much? So it goes up to 1.5 terabyte of storage. How much more do you think you would pay for an additional 1.5 terabyte of storage? Just guess.
Everything else is the same.
I
believe.
I've got the price right here. It's ridiculous.
I think it's almost
the price
double.
right here.
I think it's almost double.
That's right, $1,500. Let's throw that in. I'm feeling a bit generous. Okay, here we go. What else can I put in it? Okay, I'm gonna up it to 16 gigs of RAM, obviously. That's the 2 choices you have. So it puts me at the final price of $4,000 for a MacBook Air.
Yes,
with a lot of storage.
I mean, even if you have unlimited resources, why would you get 1.5 terabytes? That is just ludicrous.
I think, because it's got Thunderbolt, and just to what Jomo said, this is for the video producer in all of us, I think.
Video producer or about audio?
Yeah, audio as well. Yeah, I see where you're going there. Tough choice for you, Mr. Mr. Kim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have to talk about another category before we probably get there. But okay, so this is the MacBook Air. I mean, I'm pretty sure like the audience would be similar to me, because I thought the MacBook Air line would be the one that was on the left of the scale, not the middle.
So I think to close off this section, I've got one final clip on how to choose between the 3 MacBooks, also by Digital Trends. So let's see what they recommend.
All 3 MacBooks have basically the same screen resolution with that Retina display, very similar trackpad and keyboard, and even very similar port selection. Again, how are you supposed to make that decision when all those things are very similar? Really, the only differences that are somewhat substantial are in performance, battery life, and in the size of the chassis. For the best battery life, you're probably going to go with the new MacBook Air. But if you want the best performance, you should probably go for the 13-inch MacBook Pro, because it has that quad-core processor. But if you want the best chassis, I would go with the 12-inch MacBook, because it is the thinnest and the lightest.
Any help? What do you think?
I think the MacBook is out of the question.
That's right. I mean, what the hell is the chassis? What the hell does the chassis got to do anything? That's the thing that confused me.
Yeah. I mean, if it is lighter, I didn't even realize it was lighter than the MacBook Air. There you go. But yeah, I think the Pro is coming into play again because of the quad core thing. But again, I want the latest and greatest, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the MacBook Air, the fact that it has the 3rd generation keyboard, it's got the Touch ID, and it's got the dual Thunderbolt ports. It's fairly clear. Unless you want the bigger 15-inch MacBook Pro, then you fall into a whole different class of buyer. I would definitely encourage you to buy the Air over the MacBook.
Actually, I think this might be
Pro.
timely to play this clip, actually. So did you know when Steve Jobs, RIP, he announced the iMac? So this is, I guess, way before, you know, even the iPod or the iPhones. He had a grid. He had a product grid. And this is Rene Ritchie, actually, on his podcast called Vector. Just found out about it. And
Me too, actually.
Oh, did you? Okay, so he's going to ask a question.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to play the question, not the answer, because I thought the question was interesting. Here we go.
Going back to that original product grid from Steve Jobs, the one that broke everything down into portable and desktop, consumer and professional. With the 12-inch MacBook, new MacBook Air, and updated MacBook Pro on the market, just how does Apple see the MacBook lineup today? And how should customers, all of us, figure out which one to get?
Yeah, so that's like a 2x2 grid. So based on portability and desktop, but also the other scale being pro or consumer. Now it's like, I don't know, it's like 4x4 or like even 4x5 or something like that. Very confusing.
Yeah, I'm totally confused why they just wouldn't phase out the MacBook.
Actually, well, they didn't really talk about it, did they?
No,
Yeah.
it's still there. You can still buy it.
Okay.
So I just, if you phase that out, then it's clear, right? For $100 or $50 less, you buy the MacBook Air. If you want more power, you buy the MacBook Pro. But now there's the MacBook there as well in the middle. Is
the right reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the MacBook Air. I think we've done that to death.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to it, I think.
Yeah, we have to because of the damn iPads.
The damn iPads. Okay. Well, okay. What about the Mini? Okay, the Mini was kind of squished in there. I mean, people were excited. I think we should talk about the Mini now.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so this time, this was the Senior Director of Mac Product Marketing, Tom Boger. Tom Boger. Let's go with Tom Boger. Again, he hasn't been on any keynotes before. It's new for him, but it was pretty cool. He was actually on the podcast. He was the guy that Renee was asking that question to. And more on him a bit later. But did you happen to see the intro video to the Mini?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so they made it look like it was some sort of spaceship landing somewhere. And then, like,
God,
if you watch Leo Laporte's reaction, he's like, "Oh my God, it's round," because like the lights looked like it was kind of round, and then it was just a space gray slab of Mini. I mean, I don't have too much experience with the Mini, if at all. I know it's a thing that kind of looks like an Apple TV, but obviously a lot more powerful than that. Yeah. What do you want to say?
No, I think. Before looking into this episode, I thought exactly the same thing. It's just like, this not portable, but the small-ish, footprint computer you can stick at the back of any monitor. It's the cheapest way to get into the Mac environment right now. But I've learned so much more about it. Do you have any clips to sort of take us through the intro?
I don't actually. Not the Mini.
Yeah. So, back to Rene Ritchie. I've got a good overview by Rene Ritchie. I'll let him sort of talk through it. It's quite a long clip, but I think it's worth giving everyone a quick overview in terms of what the Mac Mini is and what it can do.
Space gray, that means Pro, right? The new Mac Mini otherwise looks the same from the outside. It's even the same size casing, so you can literally pull a previous generation model out and push a new one in. That may not matter much to you if you just put it on or under your desk, but if it's in your stacks or by the hundreds or thousands in your server racks, that means a lot. Mac Mini hasn't been updated in so long that any spec bump would have gone a long way. With Intel's Coffee Lake, it goes pretty much all the way. You can get quad or 6-core Intel i5 or i7 processors, which are night and day ahead of what was available previously. There's a new thermal system to keep it all cool inside that tiny enclosure, including new vents and a new power supply. It's also got Apple's T2 security chip for secure boot, real-time encryption, secure enclave, and new consolidated controller architecture. Like with MacBook Air, it makes Intel better than Intel alone, and in a way no other PC maker can currently match. Once upon a time, the Mac Mini was a switcher machine. You put it on your desk, added a display, a keyboard, and a mouse, and you were good to go. But now switchers mostly want notebooks, and the Mac Mini, well, pros want those, and a lot. Add a Mac Mini or a half dozen to your MacBook Pro and offload compressor work. Sit at a beach with your MacBook Air, hit a button, and build and deploy on your Mac Mini. Or, just fill your server room with them. They're not the new Mac Pro. They're not meant to be. They're meant to be everywhere around it. The glue.
Yeah, so the glue that holds it all together. Sorry for cutting that clip a bit short, but I didn't know that about the Mac Mini. I didn't know that people use Mac Minis as server units or compression units, or just to do all the heavy lifting while you sit on a beach sipping your pina colada on your iPad.
I think there was certainly a segment there that did that. I know even the Twit network, they were very keen on getting their hands on these. I think they ordered 6 on the spot that day. So
wow.
He didn't mention the ports, the connectivity. So it comes with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, 10 gig Ethernet, HDMI, and 2 USB-As. The good old USB-As.
Good old USB-As. I think that's mostly for mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people are excited. We're probably not the target market, but once I don't know, maybe when we start up a business or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, because looking at the price right now, there's 2 units you can buy on the store. The first one is a i3 unit you can buy for about $1,249, and there is the 6-core i5 you can buy for a little bit more, which is definitely one you should go for, because it also doubles the SSD to 256. So yeah, for below, if you add a keyboard, mouse, screen, you can get onto the Mac environment, for less than $2,500.
Yeah. So that second one is 1,700 Aussie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably all we can sort of add to that conversation. But the next thing was today at Apple. Retail. Not very interesting, but I know we'll just skip over it. The only thing I wanted to quickly mention was that there's a new set of what they're calling sessions, I think. And you got things like, so these are almost like, when you scroll through Instagram or even Facebook, you see the those ads come up for, there's Steph Curry, there's, I don't know, some photographer, masterclass, that's it, masterclass classes. I don't know if you've seen any of that. Have you been on social media lately? Maybe it's just me. Anyway, so that type of thing where like a very, someone of high standing would, like I think the example they had was like Florence and the Machine, showing you how to produce music using your iPad and things like that. I mean, that I think adds value because these are all free as well. You just have to book the session, but they're in all markets all around the world. So I think that's a pretty good addition to that whole town hall thing. But yeah, what else? They've engaged like 3,000 professionals apparently to come up with these sort of content. So I'll be checking out some of them. Like I didn't find anything too interesting just yet, but I didn't really spend too much time going through the whole list. So I reckon I'm going to find.
So where do you find it? Do you just check out the website? For example, I'm on there now. Just trying to see, where do you find all these classes? I'm guessing it's under the Apple's. Oh, events. Here you go.
Yeah.
Now let's see what happens if I do that. It's still talking about the special events. View all. This is just too complicated. Just keep going.
Yeah, so I imagine it's similar to, like, you remember years ago we went to a talk by the guy who shot everything on an iPhone.
Yes.
It won't be like actual. I mean, there will be some places like New York where the actual professional is at the store giving the talk, but most I think it'll be video content where you can follow. I'm sure you'll have the staff going around helping you. I think each staff has like some sort of creative director as well hired. So yeah, like again, something only Apple does. It all adds to their vision at the end of the day. So I think for me who wants to get more out of the iPads and things like that, I think this will be good.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the Sydney ones right now. I had to Google it. For example, there's one they called Crafting Your Shot, co-created by Chase Jarvis.
Oh yeah,
Things
I
like
used
that.
to follow him on Google Plus. Also,
Oh yeah,
RIP.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's only one event this week. Actually, I might go check it out. It's on the 6th. When is that? Oh, Tuesday. Oh,
Oh,
huh.
instead of
Tuesday
the Melbourne Cup,
Anyway.
maybe.
Yeah, I think so. What should I learn more about how to edit photos or watch horses die? Tough choice.
Ooh, booyah. Okay. All right, iPad Pro. All right, this is the main event. I feel
let's do it.
the main event. Would you agree?
Definitely.
I think it's sort of created the most amount of excitement. Now I do have an intro. Okay, here we go. Guess who it is? It's Tim Cook.
But what you might not know is we've sold more iPads in the last year than the entire notebook lineup of all of the biggest notebook manufacturers.
Yeah, stats.
This makes iPad not only the most popular tablet, but the most popular computer in the world.
Ooh.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that kicker there because I don't know.
Tim's
I
got to
think-
lay off. Tim's got to lay off the caffeine or something. Like twice, he would go, "Oh."
It was more than twice, I can tell you that. If you
Yeah.
watch the whole thing.
In that clip alone.
Yeah, but the kicker was that, yes, are they trying to push that line of the iPad being a computer? Is that what they're trying to do?
Well, I think this is probably a good time to talk about something. I'm going to make a prediction here. I think the reason why they left the MacBook there, the reason why they're talking about the iPad being a computer, I think this year's lineup is about experimenting in terms of what the public wants. And then, in the next 2 or 3 years, they can continue on with the MacBook lineup or let the iPad Pro take over the MacBook and the MacBook Airs and leave the MacBook Pros for the pros and let the iPads take over everything else.
Okay. Yes. Because you're saying the overlap between MacBook or MacBook Air users would be quite similar to iPad users.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a start, right? I mean, you saw the keynote. I only saw glimpses of what you could do in Photoshop and things like that now. So the gap is closing.
Yeah, certainly. Well, let's just go through the difference between the old iPad Pro and the new one. So, different chassis or the form factor. Everything's flat again except for the camera bump.
Yeah, the funny thing I saw is someone said now it can stand.
Well, yeah, like the old 5S's, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I've got a Marques Brownlee clip here, but I just mentioned the camera bump, so I won't play that. So it's so thin now that he goes on to say it's so thin there is a camera bump, but then he also goes on to say, well, why do you need a camera on an iPad anymore? But which is an interesting comment. I don't know.
You know what? I actually don't mind the camera. I mean, I've been sharing this Google Keep, for example. Now you can take a photo of, some handwriting and it does some magical OCR and reads the text of anything you write. So little things like that.
Yeah, and I suppose you can't really do augmented reality without a camera. So, okay, I'll give you that one. Now, in terms of the size, you got the 11-inch screen, which was the old one. Sorry, that's a new one, isn't it? 11 inch is a new size. The old one was 10.5. But the form factor is exactly the same. So bigger screen, but the same size physically. And the bigger 12.9 is actually smaller, but retains the same display size. That makes sense, yes. And
yes.
Oh, the guy I have to talk about the guy who presented this one. His name is John Turnus. Now his title is VP of Mac and iPad Hardware Engineering. So there seems to be a lot of VPs of that category. But
I know it's like the VP convention.
Yeah, he's pretty cool though. I think I've seen him elsewhere as well, but he knows his stuff. He did make a comment about how the new 12.9 screen iPad is very similar or almost exactly the same as a A4 piece of paper. Yeah, this is very Apple, right? What else? You've got the rounded corners on the display as well, which Dave 2D didn't like. because the radius was not consistent.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's no more home button.
No.
Yeah, it did.
Yep, so got that Face ID. It's at the top of the screen, but you can hold it sideways and still open the device with your face, which was rumored as well. It's got the A12X Bionic chip, same as the iPhone XS's. And that's, this is a precursor to Apple, perhaps, one day going all proprietary chips rather than going with Intel. This is
Interesting, isn't it? I think, yeah.
Yeah, this is a 7 nanometer, 10 billion transistors of computing power. It has an 8-core CPU as well as a 7-core GPU, and a separate neural engine with 5 trillion ops per second. It's almost like I'm reading off a slide deck. And
and a flux capacitor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean there's a lot in this new iPad Pro. The storage is also super interesting. It goes all the way up to, you guessed it, 1 terabyte.
Not 1.5.
No, but that's a lot of storage for a tablet.
Yeah, and then, of course they go with the 64 to 256, where 128 is usually the perfect size for an iPad. But again, that's another Apple thing. USB-C. USB-C,
Yeah.
yes, that's the big surprise. Yeah.
And thankfully they explained why. You can now hook it up to storage devices, screens. I saw a quick demo about how you could do that. That was quite cool. So this is where, we bring back the question. The iPad Pro is finally sort of, really living up to the Pro moniker and competing with the MacBooks.
Yeah, more on that in a second. So by putting the USB-C port in, they've taken the Lightning port out, which, that's a surprising part, I guess. So along with the headphone jack, they're slowly killing the Lightning jack, perhaps. I mean, USB-C is good because a lot of other devices that are not Apple, but also MacBooks use USB-C to charge. You can also charge out, so you can charge your iPhone through that USB-C port as well.
I think that's great.
What about the Pencil, Kelvin?
Oh, the Pencil. It's got corners now.
It's got corners?
Yeah, it can now... it's got a flat corner where you can... I don't think you call it a corner. It's got a flat side.
Okay.
That you can now stick to the side of your iPad Pro and let it charge, thank God, without it sticking out of the iPad.
Yeah, so I still have to put up with that with my old iPad Pro. It's very reminiscent of one other device from another company. I imagine it's Qi charging. I don't think they were too clear on that, but it must be using Qi charging. What else? It's got eSIM for if you want to get a Wi-Fi plus cell type. And that's all I have in my notes.
Yeah, that's a good mention about the eSIM, because obviously the MacBook Air doesn't have a eSIM or a SIM card tray. So if you're the sort of person who needs connectivity 24/7 and you don't have access to dependable Wi-Fi, and you don't need a whole bunch of desktop apps, it kind of makes that choice a bit clearer, I guess.
Yeah. And apparently eSIM is very popular in China. Now, some of the demos, so there was a NBA 2K demo, which was quite amazing.
Yes.
Apparently more powerful than the Xbox One S.
Yeah. I've got a quick clip on that from a new YouTube channel I found called Soldier Knows Best.
Okay.
So check it out. Off NBA 2K running on this iPad Pro. Now, this is not the mobile version that's out right now, which looks okay, but this is a version that is going to be bringing console-like quality to the iPad. And Apple even went as far as to say that this new iPad Pro is going to be more powerful than the Xbox One S, which is a pretty big statement to make. But Apple has put the new A12X processor inside of this, so it's going to be bringing some really solid performance. But as you can see from NBA 2K running on this thing, it looks fantastic. When they zoom into the face, you can see the sweat dripping down, and also you look at the crowd, all the people in the crowd are individually animated. So all these things are going to really point this device to not only being great for productivity and media consumption, but also too for portable gaming now, and not just those games that you can play on the go while you're waiting in line or something like that. But I'm talking about console-like games. So
yeah, console gaming in your hand. Watch out, Nintendo Switch.
With your virtual keypad on the screen.
That's right.
Yeah, that's.
But I think that's why you need 1 terabyte. If people are serious about gaming on this thing, I mean, if each game takes up, I don't know, 50, 60 gigs, then yeah, you're gonna need 1 terabyte.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now, like, I wonder if if they can come up with some gesture or new thing where you can play NBA 2K with the pencil. I don't see how that could work actually, but yeah, but like, just those awful, touch virtual keypads for the, iPad sort of gaming. They're usually awful. Yeah. The other demo was Photoshop.
Yes.
And that was very, very impressive. They kept on calling it the real Photoshop on a touch device. And we know very well how Adobe is pushing the whole touch way of interacting with your Adobe products these days. And it looks like they've kind of figured that out.
Good old touch UI. I mean, you and I, because where we work, we use a lot of Adobe products, and every time I go to a demo, they're always trying to publish or create something on an iPad, but it always seems clunky. So I think this is a first step into touch everything, I guess.
And I think the new pencil, 2nd gen pencil, kind of adds to that because they've created a new thing where if you double tap with your index finger, then you can sort of, it has an API to, do whatever you would like for the app. For the Photoshop example, you could zoom in and zoom out just by tapping. I think in the Notes app, you can, it sort of switches from a pencil to like a eraser mode. So yeah, that would be handy. And then to top it off, they used Project Arrow, which is a internal project by Adobe for augmented reality, and they turned what they sort of worked on with the Photoshop file, which had I think they said something like 2,000 layers, into a 3D augmented reality demo thing, which I can't really describe on a podcast, but it was very, very impressive, Kelvin.
So, are you getting the iPad Pro?
I think I'll have a better idea next week, or is it the coming week? Friday, everything will be in the shops, so I get to actually touch them and play around with it a little bit. There's no way I can decide right now without doing that.
No, I definitely agree. It's gonna be a tough one. I still think for most people you still need a keyboard, a proper file drive system that you and I were talking about the other day, a proper keyboard. I mean, this obviously comes with the Folio keyboard, but it costs $300. So by the time you add this all up, you can get a really good PC or MacBook,
which might do the same job though. And it's just cooler to have an iPad.
Yeah.
I don't know. So those are the issues. So if you want to talk about prices, then the 11-inch starts from $12.29 Australian, and the 12.9 inch is $15.29. Why 29? When did they start doing 29? I'm not sure. So yeah, if you get the pencil, which is another $199, and the keyboard, like you said, is $300, that is, it's going to be over 2,000. And obviously you won't get the 64 gig because that's not enough, I find, for an iPad. So that's probably another 150 on top of that.
And voila, you have a new mortgage.
Well, the interesting thing is the 12.9 inch, I think now is kind of usable, because before, with the form factor, which was massive, it was like too big in your hands, right? But with the smaller form factor, despite the fact that it's the same size display, that could be interesting as well. But I need to see if I can use that 12.9 inch one. Yeah.
So I do have one final clip. I found this YouTuber called Mobile Reviews. I think he's Canadian. Explaining the he basically talks about how this iPad Pro is finally for pros. So let's have a listen.
And it dawned on me that nothing in Apple's iPad Pro keynote has been aimed at the normal consumer. The new iPad Pro is meant for people who actually create hard on their iPad, the 1% of the iPad users who will actually benefit from having a terabyte of storage space because they're shooting video, mixing drinks, mixing tracks, or drawing butterflies. And I never thought about this in terms of the iPad, but Apple is finally taking the Pro moniker of the iPad Pro seriously. The things that I do the most on my iPad is watching Netflix and reading news via websites or books. Even look at the top free apps in the App Store, most of them are consumption apps. And that's not like the new iPad Pro got smaller, it's bigger and has sharp corners, so when you're lying on your back watching cat videos on YouTube, it's going to hurt even more when you drop it in your face. Again, all these things kind of point towards the 1% of people who are going to use it as an actual creative. For the average schmuck like me, it's just going to be another device that I'm going to keep around for 5 years before thinking I need to upgrade it.
So I guess here's my question for you, Jeff. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And on theme of the Brooklyn type event. But for me, like my use case, and it's going to be around the podcast. Like I actually want to use this new thing, whatever it is, to be able to record and edit on the thing. And whether, well, I think it's a question more of whether iOS can allow that, or do I need an actual Mac OS for file
that's
management?
Really interesting. I think we have a lot of hope for apps like Anchor that allows you to record and publish your podcast on the go. But the way we set up here, where you actually can hear the clips as well as the microphone, is not easy. It took us a very, very long time to get it right. Hence why we can't even do it on our PCs, which we spent money building on. So it might take a while. Or we can write that app ourselves somehow.
Good luck with that. So if anything, I mean, like, yes, iPad is cool. I definitely want it, but I also have another iPad Pro from 2 years ago, and I definitely don't need that. So I think I am leaning towards one of the MacBooks. But yeah, now like the MacBook Air, the one that you mentioned, is that the base model, versus the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro without the Touch ID or Touch Bar. They're very, very similar, so I can't decide.
Well, I don't think you need the quad core for audio processing. I mean, do you find yourself spending a long time waiting for the audio to get exported on your current iMac? Because your current iMac is not bad.
Yeah, 2012 iMac, it's not bad. But like even when I was preparing for the show and making some clips, I did find it like slowing down a lot. Like even playing YouTube videos, because I got Audacity open. I've got a bunch of other things open. But that that is from 6 years ago now. I'll have to make a call. I mean, I am attracted to the the smaller body, and I've always liked the MacBook Air. So yeah, but I want an iPad Pro as well.
I know. You have $5,000 lying around, don't you?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we should cover before we close up?
I've been saving this clip, like this episode, and it is actually Tom Boger, the guy who talked about the Mac Mini. And the question from Renee was what he thinks about the future of the Mac is. And the answer is going to be a very marketing fluff, but I think there is a bit of a hint in the way he says this. So here we go.
We are tremendously optimistic about the future of the Mac. I mean, we just see the Mac having an incredible future as far as the eye can see. We're investing more in the Mac than we ever have had invested in the Mac. It is incredibly important to Apple, and we just see tremendous opportunity for the Mac, tremendous places we can take it, and I'm more excited about the future of the Mac than I've ever been.
i.e. the Mac is doomed.
Yeah, he had to say tremendous 4 times.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything he just said.
No, there's no. He's like lying through his teeth for sure. And he's a senior director of the Mac lineup marketing.
You know what? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like he knows his job is doomed.
Yeah. He said he's been there for 30 years as well.
That's the thing. Like, future lineup, tremendous hope for the Mac lineup. Like, who are you kidding? Like, if two average Joes like you and me can tell that there is no conviction in what he just said, there's no way the analysts, anyone who's smarter than us, anyone who's investing in buying hundreds of Mac Minis for their server stack is going to believe that.
Actually, the market is actually on our side because they lost 6% on Friday.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be very clear. They're just going to slowly kill off the Mac.
Yeah, but maybe the MacBook Pro stays. Yeah, I don't know. That was our theory.
Yeah, so the Pros definitely stay, and then you get the iPads replacing the entry-level stuff, and then you get the Mac Pros continuing to, to help the video producers, the movie makers, the CGI guys. But when you listen back to older episodes where we talk about the new NVIDIA RTXs and things like that, I think PCs will slowly chew into that market as well.
True. Interesting times indeed. So, that's, I mean, just on the market, because they did have the Q3 earnings report come out, and it wasn't very well received. I think a lot of people will probably buy the stock next week, but they're doing stuff like they're not going to announce the number of units being sold anymore because they don't. They announced that. And also, what they call it? They had I learned a new term, but which I totally forgot. So apologies for that. But I think the sales of the individual iPhone units, they're gonna just basically flatline for the next couple of years. That's what they're expecting, but because that's why they're raising the prices of these devices. So
it makes a lot of sense because even someone like yourself who has the iPhone 10, I mean, you're perfectly happy with it, right? You're not going to upgrade to the S like you usually do.
Oh, well, I don't know if I'm totally happy with it because I just read about how they're going to throttle the battery performance. Even on this one. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about that actually because if you go into your settings, and this happens if you're on 11.3 and later, you get
I'm doing that right now, by the way.
Okay. So go to the settings, and I think there should be a battery, or under general, there's battery.
Battery. Keep going. Yes, I found it.
Battery health, and if you tap that, you get a graph. Do you see the battery level graph?
I see maximum capacity. My maximum capacity is 89%.
Ooh, mine's at 88%. So when it goes below 80%, it is going to say that it's not at maximum capacity. Sorry, it's not going to be at peak performance capability, and it will throttle. But I do have once that does happen. Oh, what does yours say? Does it say peak performance capability?
So it says your battery is currently supporting normal peak performance.
Yeah. So after it goes 80% usually, down below 80%, it'll say something like your battery is currently. Oh, hang on, that's not it. This iPhone has experienced an unexpected shutdown. Ooh, that's the error message for the unexpected shutdown. But there'll be some message saying that it's not running at peak performance, and we're going to throttle your performance to save battery and that sort of thing. But you can optionally disable that, which they didn't do before. Yeah,
disappointing. I didn't know that. That's really good. I think for anyone who's buying any sort of iPhones off the secondhand market, make sure you check this, because I'm quite sure you're going to be dumping yours into the secondhand market when it drops below 80, right? But even that is pretty cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and in that battery health page, there is a learn more link, and that's where I found all of this out. I didn't know any of this before. And if it does go below 80% capacity, then before your 1-year warranty runs out, then you can actually get it replaced. That's the whole page tells you how to do that. So 80% seems to be the magic mark there.
Yikes.
But again, only Apple does this. I don't know. This is like, can you think of any other company that does this?
No. Well, yeah, I think I don't know. I think what other choice do you have? If you want an iOS device, this is the kind of things you have to put up with.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we should probably wrap it up. It's been getting to an hour, Kelvin. Yeah,
I know.
Talk about, huh?
So, did you know you could buy more than one Mac Mini and stick it into your server room and make it interesting? Well, we didn't. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We're now at 112. If you want to check out the other 111 episodes, check out the website at thelazycouch.com or hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram by searching for us. And we hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, let us know on iTunes or anywhere else you can leave some feedback on. My name is Calvin Lee, and Kelv out.
And Jeff out.
So depressing.
It's pretty, I only found out today, actually, this battery thing.
I don't know, like, because obviously I want to upgrade from the iPhone 7 I have now. But I have no idea what to get. No idea.
Oh, I thought you were getting the 10R.
I don't know. I mean, I want to get the Pixel 3, but there's so much bad rep. There's so much happening on that, and I don't think I can do Android apps again.
Have you seen one yet?
Pixel the 3? 10s? No, I haven't.
Pixel 3.
No. I don't know. Maybe we'll go check it out on Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah, but like, I don't know about you, but I've been like recommending Pixel 3 to everyone basically. but if we can't ourselves, get one, can't find the will to do it.
I'm very tempted to get one of those weird, like high-end Chinese Android phones for under $500 to see how
what's
bad
the latest one? OnePlus? No, 6T.
No,
what's
like
the 6T?
No, the OnePlus 6T. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But also the Poco F1 or whatever it is. Things like that. I don't know.
That's just cheap though. It's just cheap. You don't need a cheap phone.
Yeah. No, I don't. But I just want to try something without burning myself. Like spending iPhone money on a Pixel 3 and regretting it. So
you don't want to fail fast and move on.
No.
Okay.
But the other thing as well, like I keep dropping my iPhone 7 and it's fine. So I worry about the 10s and the glass.
I dropped it today, like on the kitchen floor.
Ouch.
But yeah, it was fine. I think the glass actually is a bit stronger than usual. Like better than like say the 4 and the 4S. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing with the 10R is that it's got bigger bezels.
Oh, are you thinking of the 10R?
I'm not thinking it. No, I'm not thinking of it. No.
Yeah. But would you consider it if you had to replace your 10? Or would you just go for 10S?
Say if I like dropped it and it totally broke, I think I'll go Pixel 3. That'll be like this year's phone, and then get the one next year.
Back to the double I's or 11 or whatever they want to call it.
XI. It'll be the XI, right?
Yeah. It'll be the XI actually.
Qi. It'll be the Qi. The iPhone Qi.
Qi. Oh, it would definitely sell in China for sure. It's even named after the premier of China. Yeah, no, I don't know. I definitely won't get the 10R because the whole 1080 screen, the 720 screen